Welcome to the Master Your Millions podcast, the show all about your financial potential and leaving a legacy for future generations. Here are your hosts, Jason and Scott Henderson.
Super excited for our guest today. As a reminder, I am Scott Henderson, and this is my co-host, Dr. J. But getting back to our amazing guest, Jason, who do we have coming on?
Scott, we have a man by the name of Manny Lopez, and I've heard him say it so many times. I don't know whether it's a copyrighted phrase or whatever, but he always says, too blessed to be stressed. This guy is really in there doing it, young guy that is all about enhancing and creating speakers, coaches, authors, and consultants with strategic PR opportunities and dynamic systems of automation. He's all about automation, does a lot. He is a father of three. So I guess I should say he's a husband and a father. And he recently actually did a TEDx talk. So I know we want to talk about that. Welcome to the show, Manny.
Excited to be here. Let's get this party started.
Good. Real quick, tell us, how was the TEDx? What was that like? I know that was kind of a dream of yours and you made it happen. Tell us kind of how that came about.
Yeah, so I was speaking at an event where I was getting recognized from a TV show that I participated in. And one of the TEDx organizers was actually there in the audience. And so he heard my talk about what I'm really passionate about, which is what I do with the foster care system. And he wanted me to share that idea with the group. So he kind of pretty much chased me for like 3 or 4 months to get me to apply and go through the process. But it's very interesting because I don't usually prepare my speeches. I usually just go with the flow and just, say what's on my mind. And this one had to be scripted. I had to say it for 8 weeks. I had to present it and they critique it and change it. So very interesting. And I love the concept, very fun and very rewarding.
Yes, I've heard it's very rigorous, like 12 minutes or whatever your time frame is, and you write it all out and you memorize it. Not only do you memorize it, then you need to present it in a way that it doesn't sound memorized.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
There's
wow,
50 different points I had to hit in a row to hit the speech the way we structured it.
Interesting. Well, I'm happy for you that you were able to do that. I know when you posted it on that you're actually going to do it, it was something that you wanted to do. So tell us a little bit about your business and how it is that you're generating your income.
Sure. So I'm a consultant. So I help either speakers, coaches, authors, consultants when they want to get on more stages as speaker, they want to get on more podcasts, radio, TV shows, or they just want to attract more clients in their business. And we do a concept called serving your way to success, where I focus on the 80% of sales. So I teach my clients how to really build relationships over a period of time, monetize more of those higher ticket offers where they're, probably looking for stuff like consulting, coaching, masterminds, retreats, something where the clients get direct access to them. So I teach a lot on that. And my business is a Tom Shoes business model. If you guys are familiar with Tom Shoes, it's the shoe company. They give away a pair of shoes every time somebody buys a pair of shoes. Same concept in my business. Every time somebody does business with me, I can create more resources and education for my From Orphan to CEO project, which is really what I'm really excited about building.
And that's the foster care thing?
Yes. So the idea there
is... Tell us
a
little bit about it.
Yeah, I created it in 2017. I come from the foster care system myself, and I was homeless twice by the time I was 25. And I came across a statistic that really floored me, that 2 out of 3 of the kids that age out of the foster care system, meaning they don't get adopted, end up dead, homeless, or in jail within a year. So I wanted to reverse that statistic. I want to see 2 out of 3 of these kids have a mentor, understand entrepreneurship, and own their own business. So I just kind of implemented what worked for me. I found a mentor very young. That mentor guided me towards building my own dream through entrepreneurship and using faith as a foundation. I'm able to really focus on serving first, giving as much value as I can up front, knowing that the law of reciprocity would attract the people that really want to be a part of my community.
Wow, that is way cool. And that's basically your whole life right now, is you're helping those, leading with this.
Yeah, everything I do in business has to benefit the school in some way. And this is what I talked about on the TEDx talk. was the idea of gamified education versus charging kids to go to school and creating some type of membership online platform. We created a completely free school for our students to sign up for, and they actually get rewarded to go to school. They get to turn these rewards into actually collaboration with the experts that they're learning from. So they can find mentors and coaches and consultants and service providers that can actually help them build their own dream and without a dollar out of their own pocket. And so today we've been able to serve over 38,000 students. We're active in over 80 countries, and pretty much every day we're adding more students to the platform.
That's awesome. So let's rewind for a second. You said you found a mentor early on. Tell us a little bit about him and that journey finding him. Was it a true mentorship where he's like teaching exactly what he's doing? Or was it one of those roles where he's just someone that is answering your questions when you have them?
I would say the first part. So he was the manager at the job that I was at before I became an entrepreneur. And I had worked there for over 2 years. And I'd done everything that they told us to do to get advancement. And that was my big goal, was I wanted to have my own team. I wanted to be a manager. Never thought I could be an entrepreneur. And he discovered me pretty much like the first week that I had started there. And he saw the goals I had, where I wanted to go, and he was already at where I wanted to be. He was a manager. He was making the 6-figure income. He was doing exactly what I had wanted. And he said, hey, I'll teach you how to do it. I've taught that person, I've taught that person, I've taught that person. He's pointing at different people in the company and realizing that, hey, this is somebody that can actually help me do it. He's done it before. That was my first introduction to even the concept of mentorship, where you find somebody who has already been where you're trying to go and learn from them, become a sponge for knowledge and process. And so for over 2 years, we would work together. He would show me the concept of serving your way to success. And it was from him that I actually learned that quote, too blessed to be stressed. And after 2 years, I didn't get that advancement. And he had sat me down and said, Manny, it's time for you to stop building someone else's dream. It's time to build your own. You need to become an entrepreneur. You need to build your own dream. Then he shows me my next mentor, and he shows me a video on YouTube of a guy by the name of Les Brown. And he says, hey, this guy is adopted just like you. Went through foster care, he had challenges in school, he had all of these things that you're saying you can't win with, he's won with. Learn from him. And so I became, again, a sponge for knowledge on all these different arenas. And fast forward a couple years later, I'm actually being mentored by Les Brown. Now he's a good friend of mine. He's spoken on multiple stages of mine. And so it's this kind of full circle of serving your way to success. It truly does work.
All right. So for some of our listeners who are lacking that mentor, because you're a master at it, you're teaching these foster kids how to find a mentor and make that work. What are some of those first steps? How would you suggest a young guy who wants to do something similar to what you did start?
Here, day one, my suggestion is to first look at the things that are fun for you to do. Right? Think of what you would be doing on a Saturday afternoon. You got nothing but time in your hand. There's money in the bank. You don't have to worry about bills right now. You're looking at, what's something fun I would like to do. And step one is to kind of like write it down. Is write down a bunch of list of things that you like to do. What's fun? What's easy? I kind of put it in this formula of the 3 E's. Easy, exciting, experience, right? So if you could check off all 3 of those boxes for something that's fun for you, that's something you could potentially turn into a business. And what do I mean by that? Easy. It's got to be simple. It's got to be easy for you to be able to do, where it's almost like it's like you've learned it like it's the back of your hand. Exciting. It's got to be something that you're excited to go learn about. If I told you, hey, I'm going to go to do a seminar, we're going to learn about this industry, you got to be excited to want to learn. Got to be a sponge for knowledge. And then experience, something that you can actually bring experience to. Simple example is somebody who loves to surf, right? Think about it, right? You just love to surf. You go to the beach every weekend, you're in the waves. You never think of it as it being a business. But how many people have never even touched a surfboard yet that would love the concept of that idea? You could turn around and teach that person, even monetize that coaching, consulting service that you're providing, when in reality, you're just out there having fun surfing. That's the idea is look at something that's fun for you to begin with, because you're not going to really be excited about building your own dream if it's just building it because it's a money-making opportunity. You got to look at it as, can this be some way to make money, but is this also fun? Would I do this for free? Would I pay to do this? The answer is yes to that. You potentially have a good idea. Your second step is then to find your mentor. Find people who are already very successful at that and make a list of those. Find people who are already influential to the market you want to reach. So let's go for surfing as an example. Find people who are really good at surfing that even novices in the industry would know their names. Learn from them. Find ways to collaborate with them. I never thought Les Brown was accessible until I actually showed up to an event, found a way to have a conversation with him, found out that these people are humans just like us. They have needs. They have necessities. They have things that they have challenges with that maybe you could solve. Maybe there's an idea that you could support. I got to collaborate with people like George Lopez because I donated to his kidney foundation. Then I got to hang out with him and his friends for a full day and build connections, relationships. You don't realize how accessible people are if you don't just reach out to them. And that's the thing that I've really gotten mind blown on, that I thought these people are not reachable, but yet a DM on Facebook or Instagram could reach them. Showing up to an event that they're speaking at or attending at could reach them. So show up, be there, be somebody that can make your presence known. And that's a big difference right there.
Well, that's actually how we met, was at an event called Secret Knock. I believe it was Secret Knock, not Prosperity Camp. And you're right. That's sometimes there's events out there, places where you go and you can, and I hate the word network. That's not right. It's friend work, really, to build a relationship with someone that's not necessarily based on what can you give me. Right. If you, like you said, kind of lead with value, and sometimes that value may even be in a listening ear. Right. Because like you said, they're human, and they have fears, they have struggles, they have things that they're working on that maybe you have experience with that can help with.
Exactly.
So you grew up through the foster system, right? Where were you was that in California, or whereabouts?
So everything was in California for me. I was born in Riverside, California. About 18 months, I was left in a car, really found in a car. Me and my sister, shortly after that experience, we were put into foster care. We bounced around to like 8 different homes before we ended up getting adopted. And then even after being adopted, a few years later, we go back into the foster care system for a short stint. But at the end of it, it's really a lack of direction, that I was almost just like these kids that never even been adopted. I didn't have an idea of mentorship. I didn't have an idea of success. I didn't have an example I could point to that I could say, that's doable, until my mentor showed me Les Brown. That was a big game changer, because that's a lot of these kids in foster care struggle with, is that relatability. They think everything that's happened to me, woe me, I can't be successful because I have this crutch that I'm holding on to. I can't do it because this person can't relate. There's nobody that's been through what I've been through. And to find other examples out there, it's kind of the biggest draw for me with my platform, is to show example after example after example of, yes, there's people that have created success. And yes, they have chaotic lives that they've had to endure. They had struggles and challenges that they had to overcome. And at the end of the day, it was just finding that process that we can implement and also make it duplicatable so the students can consume it, they want to do it. And I'm just living through my own example. I'm like, what would inspire me to go take action? What was it that changed for me that went from living on government assistance to creating a successful business? And I just kind of look at that and try to implement as much as I can on that regard.
It's very inspiring. There's so many people that want to use the excuse, woe is me, or my background, my dad left when I was young, or my mom doesn't like me, or like you say, I'm a foster, or fill in the blank, right? And they seem to want to have the excuse that what has happened to them, as a result, I'm unable to be successful.
Exactly.
And carefully didn't use the word can't. They will say can't. I can't be successful. Um, I, I don't want to use that very much. That's a crutch. And I think that's what you meant a minute ago about having a crutch. So as your world has opened up, I mean, Les Brown is fairly well named, and I've been to one of your events where Les Brown has spoken. As this has opened up, what are some of the key points that you would say to someone that wants to lead with value?
You've got to find a way to bring your skills to the table. That's the main reason of how I was able to collaborate with Les Brown. I was named one of the best by Facebook when they hit 1 million advertisers, putting 2 years of work into building my business. And that had gotten through to Les Brown's team where he thought, hey, I need help with my Facebook. Let's call this guy and see what he can do to help. And he was willing to pay for the services. But what I did with Les was say, hey, you are highly influential to the market I want to reach. In my business at the time, I wanted to attract more speakers, coaches, authors, and consultants. I had a little over 500 clients at that point, and none of them were kind of in that arena. It was all small mom and pop service providers. And so I started going to a lot of these different events and, didn't have any example that I could showcase that they could relate to. As soon as I got to sit down with a Les Brown type, then saying, hey, let me build my process, what I'm trying to monetize in my business, let me build that for you. Let me run this campaign. Let me track the numbers, kind of like, think of it like a case study, and then showcase those results. If I can get you results, Mr. Les Brown, can I showcase this as an example of the success that I can bring? And he says, yes. That right there was one of the biggest game changers that I had in my business, because no matter where I went, Secret Knock or all these different places, if I didn't have somebody that they could relate to or understand or know as an example of success, very difficult for me to get in the room and make any waves. But as soon as I could showcase Les Brown as an example and showcase the results I was able to get from him, it opened up unlimited doors. I mean, I would literally have people calling me saying, I want what you did with Les Brown. So if you're starting out very new, one of the things that I would definitely recommend is find ways to get those influential people that are influential to the market you want to reach, get them as examples that you could showcase. And that's even including donating your services if needed to be able to do so. That is a concept of serving your way to success. And now, today, fast forward, what was it, like 8 years now, 95% of my business is speakers, coaches, authors, and consultants, what I was going after. So that really wasn't the big difference until I landed that Les Brown type client, then Sharon Lecter, then the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, then Secret Knock, and all these different influential brands that my market can relate to. They can see that. So it is a huge difference maker in business when you can tag into that influence where you're really showcasing your process versus showcasing a name. Like, kind of that, oh, I'm friends with this person. Well, yeah, I'm friends with that, but I've also done my work with that person. Here's the numbers, here's the results, here's what we're able to create. Let's create something similar for you. So that right there is huge if you're just getting kind of going in business. Don't wait until you're 10 years in to think like me, thinking, oh man, I can't work with somebody like a Les Brown or a big name. I don't have enough success stories. I don't have enough examples. Well, then donate the services so you can showcase it without them putting any effort out of their own pocket. And try to do as much as you can done for you so your process is really documented as much as you
Cool. So our podcast is all about accumulating, enjoying, and passing on millions, right? So you're in the throes of it and you're doing a good job. Your business is going, you're living the dream. I see here and then there kind of following what you're doing, how you do things with your kids. They're a big part of your life, your wife. It's really awesome to see. And I applaud you for that. As you're starting to accumulate some finances and stuff, what are some areas that you're starting to say, I think I want to put some of my money there and have it grow for me?
Yeah.
What are some areas that you're kind of looking forward or looking at?
Definitely multiple streams of income is key. Yeah, I was just talking to the wife yesterday about this. I'm like, we need to add at least 3 more this year. Like, there needs to be multiple streams. Every millionaire that I've spoken to, and I've interviewed just 1 month alone, I interviewed over 50 millionaires because I wanted to figure out, like, what are you guys doing that the rest of us aren't? And mentorship, entrepreneurship, and faith is a very big part of their pillars of success, but multiple income streams. You can't just trade time for dollars. You can't just focus on one income stream that's going to do it for you. And one of the things that I like about what you do and what I've seen in the finance space is that idea of building your own bank. I've interviewed a few people on this concept, and I love that idea because it's building wealth by just investing in yourself, right? And looking at, you're kind of building this whole idea. So that right there is a huge component of where I see wealth accumulating. Because imagine becoming your own investor. Imagine being able to take an idea and not having to ask permission from a different bank or something like that to be able to create that idea into existence. That right there is a huge component into the future of my wealth building, for sure.
I love that. One of the things that both Scott and I work with is we show people or help people, maybe it's serving people in that way, to become a hard money lender. And I don't know if you even know what that means, but you're actually loaning money to someone else so they can do what it is they want to do. Give you an example. We have helped with the conversion of a large hotel and converted into condominiums, right? And so we helped on the lending the money to allow people to do that, which is basically within a structure, if you will, a fix and flip, right? They bought a condo, they fixed it up and flipped it. Or we do it on individual houses. Have you ever considered much of that space? I mean, because you talked about being your own banker, and that's what we talk a lot about too, is, the infinite banking concept. And so often that concept gets pigeonholed in, it's around insurance. When in reality, it's not around insurance. The insurance is the holding tank, right? It's more about how do you use that capital to generate a stream of income. That's where the magic is. And being able to, right now is a phenomenal time, right? Interest rates are going up, people are struggling, but then there's also this unserved community out there like yourself that are entrepreneurs, self-employed, that have a really, really difficult time getting loans. Because you don't have a W-2, you don't have this, you don't have regular deposits. It comes in ebbs and flows, right? With what's happening in your business. And I don't know if have you ever heard of that industry at all?
Like the hard money lending?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I definitely see that. It's another eye opener right there, because I've always looked at it as just a way to invest in your own ideas, right? But then looking at it as, wow, you could actually be a bank, a lender to other people's ideas as well, and be able to leverage their time, resources, and network. So that's definitely a big component of just an added value of another revenue stream. I like that.
Cool. I know you've been kind of an investor in different things. What would you say to people out there when they should start investing their money to have multiple streams of income?
I mean, yesterday is always the best day, right? Looking at it, I even have my kids already thinking investing, right? And so the concept that I always like to think of is, kind of split your income down the middle. Take half and put that away into savings, investing, the other half into spending, bills, and things like that, to where there's a constant flow of that investing idea, whether it's investing in your own insurance, investing in your business, investing in concepts, people. It's a required part of entrepreneurship, in my opinion.
Love that. And I think so too. That's really the only way to get to the multiple streams of income. Sooner or later, we can serve only so much with our two hands, right?
Yeah.
Or with our brain or with our time. There's a limit to what we can do there. Yet there's an unlimited number of people that we can serve with money. Not that we're worshiping money or anything. That money is the vehicle for us to serve more people.
Or another way to put it is like it's energy. Money is simply energy that gets pooled. And so by having it, you can dictate where that energy goes.
Exactly. I like that.
Keep
Yeah,
going, Jason. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that was great.
Something I had heard the other day.
No, that's cool. I have not, but that's exactly, I mean, that's kind of at the heart of what I'm saying is that so many people think like, oh, this is, they get so caught up in their own head and don't really look beyond what I can do and what's the opportunity. Manny, why do you say you split it right down the middle? 50% goes to savings, 50% to live on. That's great.
That's I
Where'd
heard
that
this,
come from?
remember who had told me this, but it was just like, man, that is very smart because if you think savings first when your income comes in, and I just look at my business, I'm like, I looked at all the different income levels that my business has created, and I'm like, I could live on either one of those, whether it could be very, very low at my lowest point or even the higher points. I'm like, regardless, I was able to live on any one of those incomes. And so thinking of it, if I just start off by taking half of everything I bring in and just set that aside and only live on the other half, it's something that I've implemented for my kids and they've been able to save. And because they're always in this concept of, oh, I don't have any money. Like, you guys just brought in like $600 or $700 off that one thing you did. How do you not have any money? Well, you told us to put the half away, so I put that. I was like, oh, okay, there you go. I like that. So they're just building, and they see it right away because we're consumers in the most case. So it's just a constant at the end of each cycle thinking, oh man, we're broke again. Oh man, we got to drive revenue again. Oh man, we got to put stuff in this again. And so I've just come up with just a constant flow of where can we just put money away in different arenas. If we just split it down the middle, whatever you bring in, take half and just put it aside. You could do it. You could just let it sit there. You can invest it in something, but it can't be spent on consumerism. That's the way I just want my family to think.
Love that. That's great. I'm glad you teach. How old are your children, if you don't mind?
My youngest is 9. My middle son is 14. And then my oldest son is going to be 18, 17 already. So my daughter's the youngest.
I'm going to have to see some proof. You don't look old enough to have an 8-year-old, dude. I'm sorry. That's just like, that's unreal. That's really cool. Congratulations.
I think I got a picture of
No, I was commenting more on you that you don't look that old. You really don't.
Yeah, I know nobody believes me because I play basketball, and so I play with a lot of young guys. And then when they find out that I'm like 37, they're like, "Hey, no way! I thought you were in your 20s." I was like, I guess the moisturizer works well.
Good skincare. I love that. Well, good. Scott, is there any other questions?
Yeah, out of curiosity, you've talked about you've interviewed a bunch of people about multiple streams of income. Are there 2 or 3 on your radar right now? Like, share with us what you're thinking the next 1 or 2 that you're going to build.
Definitely, for sure. I've already been talking to a few people, including the family, about building that infinite banking concept. So that for sure is getting implemented. I'm making a few partnerships with people, so that creates additional streams of income through referrals, building my business concepts. I have some subscription models, have some high ticket stuff. So I try to look at, different avenues of how I can kind of spread my time, but also automate as much as I can on whether it's qualifying, lead gen, but income stream wise, I've got my businesses. I've got a couple of kind of like side things that I do. It's kind of like fun, but it also generates revenue. But the infinite banking concept, that for sure is going to be probably my newest, most exciting one that I'll be implementing this year, because I have no idea how kind of to navigate it, but I've had at least 3 to 4 interviews in the last year where I've learned about it. And it's been something that I'm like, this is a no-brainer. Like, every entrepreneur should have this implemented once they understand the components of how it all works. And that's the biggest thing that I think entrepreneurship is missing, is that they need that education on how to actually implement it, how you could leverage it, how you could utilize it to become a hard money lender for other business ideas. So there's that education component that once I understand it, the implementation becomes automatic.
Now, a lot of people sit and they look at it and it takes time to learn. What was it that finally clicked for you that was like, yep, I need to do this?
The the ability to pay myself interest. Once I understood that concept, I'm like, because I see where I'm putting interest everywhere else. And I'm like, why am I not getting any of that? That's no fun. So that right there was like, aha. So yeah, that was the eye opener for me, was paying myself interest, being able to invest in my own ideas. Because there's some times where I'm like, man, I want to be able to jump into that concept or jump into that idea or invest that idea into my business. And then I just kind of hold off on it because I don't have that extra flow there, right? Or that extra time, or having to just, kind of partner with other people to create the concept. And now it's just kind of building it my own. And the more I build it, and then my sons build it, my wife builds it, we'll have 4 or 5 different banks in this house.
Right. What is that? The seventh or eighth wonder of the world is uninterrupted compounding interest. Doesn't matter how small it is. So that's really neat. Thank you for sharing. Jason, anything you'd like to add on? I know that's something that you put together all the time.
Well, yeah, it's not only was put together. I mean, that's something this family does, Manny. I mean, Scott is my oldest. I have 6. My youngest is 14. Every one of them have their own system, and have essentially used it in various ways. When Scott graduated from high school, young punk didn't have credit, wanted to get a car of his own because he was going away to college, right? Not very good credit, basically none, non-existent, and it was very, very high interest. And so we looked at it, so, okay, well, we're going to take a loan from the policy we have on you, and we're going to go to the dealership, buy this used car, and the dealership's going to think that we paid cash for it, and then you're going to pay me back. And so the story goes is he did really good for a couple of months, but then January, because he played around too much in December, and it was, finals, blah, blah, blah. He couldn't make car payment in January. Well, because we own the bank, right? We didn't repossess the car and pound him, all these different things. He ended up paying us off way, way, way fast for the fact he went and did summer sales that summer, right? And so he accelerated everything and got it back into the system. But this family lives it. We don't only talk about it, we live it all the time. And we're in the process of refinancing a nice little property in Louisiana right now using our policies. It's mainly Scott, my other son Carter, and I that do it. So right now, I mean, the other ones will come along. My camp keeps going crazy. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I mean, that's cool. We love it.
Yeah, and if you ever want someone to look over the quote or something, like, we're here to help. So totally happy to do whatever you need there. Awesome. Looking into the future, you've got the next mountain to climb. What is that peak? The 5 years from now, what is that goal that you're, put it out there?
By 5 years, I definitely want to see myself retired. That's the goal. There's a certain number that I know once we've hit in net, that would let me retire comfortably. So five years from now, that number should be attainable. So that right there is kind of my goal, is to be retired on my ranch, 3 acres, waiting for grandkids. Is the kids are they're starting their relationship phase of finding their girlfriends and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. And, maybe in the next 5 years, might have a grandchild on the way. Who knows?
So talk to me for a second what retired means to you. Like, fully retired, you're not working anymore, the foster, it's all taken care of itself, and you're just hands off and playing golf or riding around on horses. Like, what does it look like?
Definitely horses for sure. Yeah. I've got the dream of having that ranch with a horse and everything. So yeah, retirement for me would be, the income is still coming in, but without effort. I have manifestation as kind of open source. So as I create, I mean, we're doing at least 100 to 200 interviews a year right now for manifestation content. Once the classes have been built out on all the different industries, which I expect us to be able to check off in the next 5 years, then it's really an open source platform. So when I leave this earth, that's kind of the structure of manifestation is that everything becomes open source and our platform can be used by anybody. So manifestation from Orphan to CEO should be able to run itself. And then everything business-wise is kind of on autopilot. But from that end, it's just enjoying time with the family, exploring this whole world with my queen.
Okay, so January 15th, 2029, we'll be doing another podcast in this ranch of yours, and we'll come help you celebrate. So
All right, and I want that ranch paid for through my infinite banking. I want to finance that thing myself.
Okay.
Love that. Love it. Well, we really appreciate you coming on. This has been incredibly valuable, and I hope everyone listening would re-listen to this. There's been several principles taught and interwoven through this conversation that will change your life if you'll just pay attention. Any
Absolutely.
final words?
I mean, you have had an example of someone that came from essentially nothing, and I'm not putting him down in any way, right? He has climbed out of a hole, and he has not allowed any circumstance in his life to affect where he can get to. Is living the American dream, right? That it's unlimited, that he can do anything. I mean, it's probably one of the better interviews we've had this whole time we've been doing our podcast. It's been awesome, right? Great concepts. Sorry, Scott, to interrupt. Keep going.
No, you're fine. Manny, any final words from you that you'd like to leave with our listeners?
I'll leave the listeners with a quote that really inspires me to create something that's more than just for money. And it's a quote by the unknown philosopher. It goes, I believe that we are all created for greatness, not mediocrity, that we are to live our lives accordingly, striving to be agents of change as we attempt to leave this world a better place than we found.
Love that. Love that. I think that is a great place to leave off. So, amen. Well, guys,
the mic is what it is. It's dropping
yeah,
right there. Way to go, Manny.
Well, guys, if you'd like to connect with our guest, we will leave all of the links in the show notes down below. If you'd like to connect with Jason or I, make sure to hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or shoot us an email. All the links are in the show notes down below. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And remember,
and leave us a review. We need reviews.
We do. That we do. And remember, guys, mastering your millions all starts with your mind and your team. Make sure they are the best. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to Master Your Millions with Jason and Scott Henderson. Check the show notes for any links or contact information about today's guest. Make sure to follow the show so you don't miss any future episodes.